What's up, Passion, and welcome to Live at 7:45. So check it. Let's go on and state the obvious. I know I'm not Paige, and we had announced at Passion that Paige would be covering this morning's segment, but she's not feeling well, and so we want to make sure that we cover her and allow her to get the rest that she needs to recuperate. So you get me. So I hope that's okay. And I'm wondering if this was like intentional, because we're changing the topic of 7:45 this morning to the fruit of the spirit of patience. Who want to talk about patience? Ain't nobody want to talk about patience, because the rule of thumb, it is inevitable that if you're trying to learn about patience, teach on patience, understand patience a little bit more, your patience will be tested. It happens every time. So I ain't trying to be tested in my patience, but I'm sure it will happen. But patience is a virtue. I'm sure you've probably heard that cliche saying, but it's true, because patience is actually one of the fruits of the Spirit. So we got love, joy, peace, and patience. Number 4. We're going to talk a little bit about patience this morning. So if you were at Passion last night, we just started talking about the walls of Jericho. It's a story in the book of Joshua. It's the Old Testament that you should check out in your Bible, Joshua chapter 6. You should read it. It's crazy. It is historical. It is true. God does this amazing miracle where he takes the Israelites. They walk around this city that was promised to be theirs, and they walk around for 6 days, literally just one lap every day, just walking around the city for 6 days. And on the 7th day, if you know the story, they walk around it 7 times, right? And at the end of the 7th time, they shout, and when the Israelites shout, the walls of the city come down. The city was completely covered and protected by these really thick walls, and the walls come down to the city, and then the Israelites are able to access this land that was promised to them, right? That's a really, really short recap of the story. But the crazy thing is, to me, when we're talking about patience, if you know the story of the walls of Jericho, God tells Joshua, right? Joshua is the new leader. The Israelites had been hanging out with Moses. They left Egypt. They were out of captivity. God performs all these crazy, huge miracles, splitting the Red Sea and providing manna for them and providing food for them. And they walk around the wilderness for 40 years. 40 years, y'all. That's a long time. Like, I ain't even been alive for 40 years. Like, I'm not even 40 years old. Thank God. Not yet. But they walk around for 40 years because they couldn't get their lives right. Their hearts weren't right. Their perspectives and their attitudes weren't right. I'm going to say gossiping. I'm sure they were doing that too. They were complaining and all grumbling and all this stuff. And so God made them walk around for 40 years in this wilderness, just wandering around instead of accessing the promised place that God had for them. And so we pick up where Moses has gone on and passed the torch to Joshua, and they are on the move into the promised land, and Jericho is in the way. The walls of Jericho are literally dividing them from the land that God had promised them. And then they have to go for a week of just following orders. God tells Joshua what the end is going to be, right? He tells them that they are going to access this land, but Joshua never tells the people that. Joshua never tells them what the end of the story is. They just have to choose to obey the leadership, choose to obey the crazy plan that has been set into motion here. And so I can only imagine being the people of Israel and every day waking up and being like, okay, so we're going to go march around quietly now. They have to be quiet when they do it. March around quietly around this city that is already supposed to be ours. Cool plan. And then they wake up the next day and Joshua's like, all right, go march again. They do this for 6 days. Like by day 3 or 4, I'm like, all right, bro, I already wandered around the wilderness with you for 40 years. Like now I'm walking around a city, and I just wonder how many of them had the challenge of patience, right? I mean, clearly they've already sat through long years of learning lessons and stuff like that, but like, what did that look like in their heart every day? Like just sitting there wondering if the walk was going to be worth it, if the wait, hello, was going to be worth it. I think about, and this is a total, completely not even on the same, not even near the same level, but you ever go to like Walmart? Y'all, Walmart be driving my nerves, right? You go to Walmart, everyone's done it, whether you're at Walmart, Kroger, Target, wherever you are, and you've got your items that you're going to purchase. And when you go to checkout, what's the first thing you do? Whether you're doing self-checkout or if you're going through an actual line, you evaluate the people, the amount of people in line, right? You evaluate how long your wait is going to be. And so I was thinking about that and how, like, a lot of times I'll evaluate each line and like, okay, that one looks shorter, I'm going to run over there. That one only has 2 people, but those 2 people got a lot of stuff in their cart. So I'm going to jump over here where there may even be more people, but less items that have to be checked out. So we do all this evaluation because we want our time to be worth it. We don't want to wait. We don't want to sit there. We don't want to have to like watch life be going on for other people while we're stuck in line. But being stuck in line is a test of our patience. We have the choice in that moment to choose what our attitude is going to be. We have the choice in that moment to either get frustrated, which never helps the situation, right? Being impatient, being frustrated, getting upset, wondering if we need to jump and go into another line, which oftentimes, if you've done it, be real, you jump and go into another line and then some crazy thing happened where the register breaks and then you got to sit there longer and you're like, oh, God is testing my patience, right? And so I was thinking about, oftentimes, if I have to sit in line and I'm by myself, I'll usually jump on my phone. Most of us do it, right, to kind of pass the time. But I find that if I'm with my best friend, say I've got one of my best friends with me and we're in line at Walmart, I typically enjoy the wait, the time that it takes to wait to check out and to receive the item that I'm waiting for to go to the next destination, wherever I have to go afterwards. I enjoy the process a lot more when I have somebody there enjoying it with me. And I can talk to them. We can choose to be in this together, to either be frustrated together or just enjoy one another's company. And when I was thinking about the children of Israel, the Ark of the Covenant was present. And if you know anything about the Ark of the Covenant, no, it's not like Noah's Ark. It wasn't this big ship or boat, but it was symbolic of the presence of God. And so that symbolizes that God's presence was with them. And there's this song by Betha that talks about He's in the waiting, like God is in the waiting. And so there's promises all throughout His Word about how He's with us, how He'll never leave us or forsake us, that He has plans and purposes and destinations for us. He wants us to learn and grow towards Him, learn and grow and become the men and women that God's called us to be. But He's always right there in the middle of it. And what a cool example of, even when we're on our way to the promised land, whatever that place is that God has promised you, whether that's a breakthrough in your perspective, maybe you need joy, maybe you need freedom, maybe you need patience, right? Maybe you need whatever it is that you're waiting for, that healing or that provision that you've been waiting for, whatever it is on the other side of the wall, right? Whatever that wall is that's keeping you from getting to that place. I believe that God wants to remind you, young person, that He is in the waiting with you. Just like with the children of Israel, His presence was there with them, walking with them. He was with them while they were waiting and not knowing how He was going to make a way, but knowing that He was with them and He was going to make a way. And I think a lot of times if we would just realize that, as I finish up here, right? Preacher's famous last words. If we would just remember and often remind ourselves that whatever you're waiting for, whether that's a spiritual breakthrough, an emotional breakthrough, a job, or waiting to pull your grades up, or whatever it may be, something huge in your life, or maybe you're just getting stuck at every single red light on your way to school and you're already 5 minutes late. The worst. If we could remember that in the middle of our waiting, in the middle of the process, that He is with us. His presence is there to talk us through. His presence is there to remind us that whatever we're waiting for is going to be worth it. Man, just like the children of Israel, I know we keep going back to that, but they had to recognize that his presence was with them and that he was going to bring victory. And if we could remind ourselves that he is with us all the time, maybe we'd enjoy the process a little bit more. Maybe we would take advantage of the times where we may not be excited about the process, but that we can take time and talk to him and pray to him and remind ourselves of his promises. So, live at 7:45 today, right now, whatever you're facing, whatever tests that you're going to have today of your patience, and maybe you need to develop more, remember that he is with you in the waiting. He is with you in the process, and he will give you the strength that you need. He'll give you the self-control that you need. He will give you everything that you need to not only get through the process, but to have victory at the end of it. Hey, I love you so much. Thanks for hanging out with me at live at 7:45. Y'all are the best.